We are going to talk about the momentous Democratic victories in elections across the country last night. But I want to focus on something that is going to be very important as we move into the 2026 midterms. I mean, the election for the 2026 midterms has already started, quite frankly. It is a year ago that the worst possible thing that could have happened happened, and Donald Trump was installed back into the Oval Office. But clearly, the Democratic victories, the sweeping and resounding Democratic victories last night, can serve indeed as a bellwether. Again, we will talk about that. What I want to focus on is the ways in which Democratic leadership is failing us so egregiously. Zoran Mamdani, a very young Muslim man, why the second part matters is beyond my comprehension, won a victory over Andrew Cuomo, who is a fixture of the Democratic political establishment. His father, Mario, was governor for New York State for a very long time. Cuomo was governor. He has been involved in New York State politics for his entire adult life. He lost badly in the Democratic primary to Mamdani. He decided to run as an independent in the general election, therefore leaving the door open for Eric Adams, potentially one of the worst mayors New York has ever had. But thankfully, Eric Adams dropped out to benefit Cuomo, but it still didn't do him any good. Mamdani won by almost 8 percentage points, and considering it's a three-way race, he got over 50% of the vote, which is no small feat. Guess who was not at Mamdani's victory celebration last night? Obviously, Andrew Cuomo wasn't. Why would he be? Let's be fair. Our two Democratic senators, Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, were not at the victory celebration for what is, quite frankly, one of the most vitally important political offices in the country. I know you can say, well, mayor of a city. How is that a big deal? It's New York. We have almost 9 million people in this city. It is a massive job. And in many cases, as New York goes, so goes the rest of the country. What happens in this city politically, in terms of policy, matters tremendously. Mamdani's victory was also potentially the shape of things to come. And you would think, especially Chuck Schumer, who is the minority leader of the Democrats in the Senate, would want to be allied and aligned with what could potentially be the future of the Democratic Party. Voters yesterday, particularly in New York, made it clear to establishment Democrats that the status quo is not okay. Yes, in many ways that we will continue to discuss, yesterday's results were very much a referendum on the horrors of the Trump regime. All to the good. But again, in New York City, it was explicitly about sending a message to people like Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand and Hakeem Jeffries that we want leaders who understand what's at stake and who are going to fight for us. And it wasn't just in New York City. It was in California, where Proposition 50 was on the ballot. What is Proposition 50? Well, as you may know, Donald has been ordering red states, starting with Texas, to engage in a rare thing called mid-cycle redistricting. There's a census in this country every 10 years. It's in the Constitution. That census determines how many people are in which districts and what kind of representation they need, or how much representation they need, right? That's how we determine how many Congress people the state is going to have, right? So, in a potentially illegal and unconstitutional move, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas decided to go along with Donald's scheme and redistrict in between two censuses. You're not supposed to do that. Why is he doing that? Because in 2026, the Republicans know that their razor thin margin of majority, I should say, in the House of Representatives is at risk. So in Texas, they're going to redistrict into oblivion safely Democratic congressional districts to add 5 Republican districts, making it that much harder for Democrats to win back the majority in the House. Normally, you would expect Democrats just to sit down and take it and play by the rules. Well, just because the Republicans are cheating doesn't mean we should. Yeah, well, guess what? It does. And Gavin Newsom, governor of California, understands that. So he said that he wanted the citizens of California to vote on whether or not California should engage in the same kind of redistricting efforts to right the balance. Not add one more or less, but if Texas is essentially going to steal 5 Democratic seats, California is going to steal 5 Republican seats, because that is the kind of battle we're engaged in. And California citizens came out in force and voted to approve Prop 50 by almost 64%. That is overwhelming. What does this tell us? It tells us that Democrats, not just the base, but Democratic voters across the spectrum, understand in a way our so-called leaders do not, how we need to fight and what we need to do in order to right the balance. We did it once in 2020. We snatched democracy from the jaws of autocracy. It is going to be so much harder next year. And the last thing we need is to have our own leaders demoralize us by refusing to engage in the battle at hand. This is an all hands on deck, break the glass moment. And people like Schumer and Jeffries and Brian Schatz of Hawaii and Kirsten Gillibrand need to step up or get the fuck out of the way. Last night, Democrats stood up in force to send that message. All we need to know now is whether or not establishment Democrats are going to listen to it. Let's dive in. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Mary Trump Live. It is wonderful to be here with you. What a night it was. What a night indeed. And actually, things kind of went according to plan. Somebody asked me a question last night. How long did I think it was going to take for the election to be called? And I was like, I actually think that the mayoral election in New York and the gubernatorial race in Virginia will be called very shortly after the polls closed. And that's what happened. Also, what happened is something I did not expect, because for months now, the polls in New Jersey showed that the gubernatorial race there was much closer than we wanted it to be. And yet Democrat Mikey Sherrill trounced her Republican opponent. I did not see one poll that had her up more than 8 percentage points, and much of them had her up maybe 4 or 5. Again, too close for comfort in an election this important. She beat her Republican opponent by almost 14 percentage points. This was a rout across the board. This is in stark juxtaposition to the same day last year when, as the aforementioned horrors happened, we actually got to celebrate for a change. Because not just the most closely watched races ended up with Democratic wins, and in some cases, huge upsets. Uh, a, an absolutely unambiguous repudiation of Donald and everything the fascist Republican Party stands for. So again, Mikey Sherrill of New Jersey, Abigail Spanberger of Virginia, both now governors-elect, Zoran Mamdani, mayor-elect of New York City. What's in some ways as important, Democrats did exceptionally well in some of the reddest districts in the country. Erie County, Pennsylvania elected Democrat Christina Vogel in the county executive race. In Virginia, 66 House District, sorry, I'm having trouble speaking, 66th House District, Democrat Nicole Cole unseated 36-year GOP incumbent Bobby Orrick. In Georgia, Democrats won 2 statewide Public Service Commission races. This is the first time since 2006 Democrats won such statewide races. And in Mississippi, Democrats flipped 3 state Senate seats, which took away the Republican supermajority in the state legislature. This tells us something. This tells us that Americans of all stripes are paying attention. What else does it tell us? Well, it tells us something that many of us, not just me, but many of us have been saying for years now. Democrats need to fight for every single race at every single level of government, whether it's a public service commission race or a school board seat or mayor, or I don't care what it is. From the most local race to the most statewide or federal race, Democrats need to fight for everything across the board. It is unacceptable to allow any Republican to run unopposed at this point. What it also tells us is Democrats need to start picking their candidates wisely. Let's take Democratic primaries seriously. Look what happened in New York City, after all. It probably won't shock you to learn. I mean, it might, but if it does shock you, well, maybe pay a little bit more attention. I know it's not going to shock you guys. Donald's not taking any of this too well. No, he doesn't like the whole blue wave narrative, and he certainly doesn't like people blaming him for it. So, as is often the case, he reacted to Democrats' sweeping victories by lying in order to protect his fragile little ego. So let's watch him brag about how affordable Donald's America supposedly is.
Gasoline prices have plummeted to the lowest in 2 decades, and we're going to soon see $2 gasoline. Think of that, $2 a gallon. Grocery prices are way down.
No, I don't have a car, but I rented a car this weekend, and gasoline was $4 a gallon. So let's start there. The American Automobile Association, or AAA, has the average price of gasoline nationwide at $3.08 a gallon. I got ripped off. No, I was in a place where it's typically more expensive than the nationwide average because of supply chain, blah, blah, blah. So according to, but $3.08 is a lot more than $2. I think, I don't know. I think Roseanne was still on TV the last time gas was less than $2 a gallon. Not the reboot, the original. Why did I say Roseanne? I don't know. I didn't watch Seinfeld. Sorry. Maybe I should have said Star Trek: The Next Generation. Yeah. Anyway, according to petroleum analyst Patrick DeHaan, quote, prices would need to decline below $2.96 to reach their lowest level since 2021. They'd need to drop below $1.76 a gallon nationally, a $1.34 gallon drop compared to today, per gallon drop compared to today, to fall to their lowest level since 2009. Let's break down the lie about grocery prices. You know, the groceries. CNN fact checked and found that in September, they were up roughly 2.7% higher than a year earlier and about 1.4% higher than in January when Donald returned to office. Good job. Why would Donald try to convince Americans that he's brought down the cost of living? Well, one, he's desperate. Two, also because Mamdani, Sherrill, and Spenberger all ran on affordability, an issue that appeared to be top of mind for voters as well. Here's the thing, though. Guess what Donald ran on in 2024? Bringing down prices, bringing down inflation, bringing down unemployment, bringing manufacturing back to America. You know the drill. He's done none of that. He's done quite the opposite. In fact, he has almost single-handedly destroyed our economy and our position as a trustworthy and valuable trading partner to other countries on the planet. So the fact that that issue continues to resonate with voters suggests that, one, it's always top of mind for voters, of course, because the economy is almost always the number one issue on which people vote, but also that they're not buying it anymore. You can tell people all you want that gasoline is cheaper than it's ever been. But if you're somebody who buys gasoline a lot and pays attention to how much it costs, because a price difference of 20 to 50 cents a gallon is going to negatively impact your ability to buy other essential goods, you're going to notice. Luckily, Donald is facing bad news on multiple fronts. The legality of his trade policy was put to the test today. The Supreme Court heard the case challenging Donald's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to justify his tariffs. In the lead up to this hearing, Donald issued a grave warning to the Supreme Court justices, which I'm pretty sure is something that is not supposed to happen. Let's take a look at his comments to reporters on Air Force One this week.
I think it's the most important decision, one of the most important decisions in the history of our country. Because without tariffs, without our being able to use tariffs freely, openly, and in every way, we would suffer tremendously from a national security standpoint. The national security of our country is at stake. I think it's one of the biggest decisions in the history of the Supreme Court. Other countries use tariffs against us. If we weren't able to openly and freely use tariffs against them, I'll give you an example. China. That was going to be a disaster for the world, and I was able to settle it very quickly, very easily, because I was able to use tariffs. It's total national security. And economic health is also part of national security, by the way. But without tariffs, our country would be in great jeopardy.
No. First of all, can somebody please ask him to explain how tariffs help bolster national security? Can somebody ask him to explain how tariffs bring down prices when they don't? Can somebody explain to him what a fucking tariff is, perhaps? Maybe, finally, at long last? Well, that would be a waste of time. As for the most important, it's being the most important Supreme Court decision in American history, that could only be said by somebody who is entirely ignorant of American history. I mean, just off the top of my head, and I haven't even been, thinking about this. Let's see, Dred Scott, Plessy versus Ferguson, Brown v. Board of Education, Citizens United. Oh yeah, the Chevron Doctrine, Dobbs, which overturned Roe v. Wade, and the case a couple of years ago in which the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court of the United States of America decided to make Donald Trump an imperial president who was above the law. Donald and his argument about tariffs faced tough questioning. Well, I guess comparatively speaking, by most of the justices, which included members of the aforementioned corrupt, illegitimate supermajority, Chief Justice John Roberts, and appointees, Donald's appointees, including Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch. As Newsweek reports, Gorsuch leaned in the hardest. He vigorously questioned the Trump regime's lawyer about the views regarding executive authority. And Gorsuch warned that the administration's interpretation risked a one-way ratchet that shifts power from Congress to the president. So heartwarming that Gorsuch is suddenly concerned about such an imbalance. Gorsuch said, quote, "I wanted to explain to me how you draw the line, because you say we shouldn't be concerned because this is foreign affairs and Donald has inherent authority, and so delegation off the books, more or less. And if that's true, what would prohibit Congress from just abdicating all responsibility to regulate foreign commerce for that matter, or for that matter, declare war to Donald," unquote. I have a question for Neil Gorsuch. Why are you suddenly interested in where the line gets drawn? Would it be fabulous if you'd been worried about it 2 years ago when you were making this miscreant completely free of any and all accountability? I mean, maybe this is going to be one of the rare times the illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court defies Donald. Maybe because on some bizarre level, they still believe that they can convince some Americans that they're impartial. But it also appears that Supreme Court justices aren't the only ones not sold on Donald's ridiculous and harmful tariff policies. NBC News reports that, quote, "A new poll found that 63% of registered voters believe Donald is failing to live up to expectations on the economy after he ran on lowering prices, in part through tariffs. Other recent polls show a majority of Americans oppose the tariffs, which disproportionately burden small businesses," unquote. Yes, they do. And I think that is intentional. The Supreme Court agreed to hear this case in an expedited manner, which means that the ruling is going to be expected by what, the end of the week? The end of the month? Expedited, that means speed it up, right? No, they're not going to rule until June of 2026, which again brings us squarely up against the same problem we've been having since January 20th, 2025. While justice grinds slow but fine, the Trump regime is going to continue to do untold damage to this country and its people. But I think that's intentional too. Today, Donald had more trouble with judges. CNN reports that a federal judge in Virginia challenged the DOJ's handling of the case against former FBI Director James Comey. Magistrate Judge William Fitzpatrick suggested the government may be using a, quote, "indict first, investigate later," unquote, approach to the case. You don't say. Really? Of course, that's what they're doing. Because part of this is about, it's not simply about indicting Comey and potentially getting an illegitimate conviction. It's about harming him. Just the very act of indicting him is harmful to him. And it's, some people are going to believe that James Comey did what DOJ prosecutors are falsely accusing him of having done. The judge warned prosecutors that they may have mishandled evidence found in 2019 and 2020 regarding Comey and his friend lawyer Daniel Richman. The judge pushed the DOJ to explain what was collected and whether they'd improperly accessed material covered by attorney-client privilege. As we know, this case has already drawn deserved criticism for being a politically motivated sham, because that is what the DOJ is now. The DOJ is an illegitimate organization that exists solely to do Donald Trump's bidding, to act as his defense attorney and to act as his attack dog, whether or not there is evidence to back up his desire for revenge, or not even revenge, because James Comey never did anything to Donald. James Comey did his job. And the irony, of course, is that Donald wouldn't be president if it weren't for James Comey's horrifically bad judgment. Will the judge throw this out and thus discourage Donald from ordering his DOJ to try additional revenge cases? I mean, he should throw the case out, but nothing will dissuade Donald, because I think he and the DOJ, people like Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Jeanine Pirro, are kind of taking to a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks approach to their brand of justice. Now, here's another story that reflects Donald's utter degradation of the DOJ and FBI. The Washington Post reports that this week multiple FBI agents were fired, rehired, and then fired again. The reason? They worked on the investigation into Donald's attempts to overturn the 2020 election. And not just his attempts, but the attempts of his Republican sycophants to do the same. The case was known as Operation Arctic Frost, and it led to some of the charges filed against Donald by special counsel Jack Smith. This started during the Biden administration, but keep in mind, Biden had nothing to do with this, because he, unlike Donald and almost every other president before him since Richard Nixon, gave the Department of Justice complete and total independence. According to the article, FBI Director Kash Patel fired the agents on Monday, and he rehired them the same day after pressure from D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. I'm curious to know why. And then Patel fired them again on Tuesday. The FBI Agents Association released a statement on the matter saying, quote, "The actions highlight the chaos that occurs when longstanding policies and processes are ignored. An agent simply being assigned to an investigation and conducting it appropriately within the law should never be grounds for termination. Director Patel has disregarded the law and launched a campaign of erratic and arbitrary retribution. FBI agents deal in facts, and we urge Patel to do the same," unquote. This is happening throughout the agencies that run our country, essentially. I don't know if you know this, but before now, the only political appointment at the FBI was the director. Every single other person in the FBI was a career civil servant. So, by firing career civil servants and replacing them with cronies, the FBI is becoming more politicized and less trustworthy. Also, as is happening at the DOJ and the State Department and HSS, and on and on and on, they're destroying generations worth of institutional knowledge, which we may never get back again. We need members of Congress from both sides of the aisle to speak out against these illegal acts and force Patel to reverse his position, but he won't, because he doesn't answer to them and he doesn't care about what any of them think. Also, I'm not holding my breath waiting for any Republican members of Congress to do the right thing. This is all about what Donald Trump wants. And there are more and more people being put in positions of significant power who are willing to give him whatever that is. It's Wednesday. Okay, cool. And we've reached our emotional support moment, which means for the first time in over half an hour, we can breathe. Woo! All right. Since, metaphorically speaking, the stars aligned for last night's elections, actually, I thought tonight that we should highlight an astrological event. Also, because astrological events are awesome. This is a video recorded in New Zealand that captures the Milky Way, the aurora australis, lightning, and red sprites. Now, managing to catch all of those things at once is, to say the least, an uncommon occurrence. So, while we take all of this in, let's just think about what we can accomplish if we stick together, if we make our voices heard, and we demand positive change. Enjoy. Amazing. I want to go to New Zealand. I want to go to New Zealand for a lot of reasons, but right now I want to go because I want to see a red sprite. How cool is that? Okay, let us get to your questions, comments, etc. But first, hold on. First, I need to figure out how to. My apologies. I'm having a slight technical issue. I don't know why, and it's annoying me, but all right, hopefully it won't be a problem. Just something seems to be frozen. All right, bear with me. Here we go. Jean B 4423 is a new member. Thank you so much. It is wonderful to have you here. Sorry, I'm making things worse. Hang tight, guys. Hang tight. Oh, wow. Sorry. All right, I'm going to keep trying. Drew H6N is a new member. Thank you so much and welcome. Marsha, also a new member. Thank you so much, Marsha. Much appreciated. Ave Geek Julie 1994, member for 5 months. That's awesome. Here's to a great blue wave. Yes, indeed. And let's keep them coming, is what I would say. Phoebe, thank you so much, Phoebe. Comment, I wonder how many diaper changes Donnie had last night, or do sociopaths not get scared? He's not a sociopath. And yeah, he gets terrified. Kabu Writer 412, thank you so much for that. Comment watching from Australia. Love you, Mary. Thank you so much. And I love Australia. I'd love to get back down there. Mighty Cheryl, Kids at One Maritime Media membership. Thank you as always. Awesomeness. And it is the Mighty Cheryl twofer. Thank you for that. This is a Blue Wave celebration fee. Love it. Brigade 45, thank you so much for this. This is a Blue Tsunami surfing beach tag fee. Cool. I like that idea. Rick Robin, wow, thank you so much for that. Currency I need to learn about. Question. Did you hear Mary Mike Mike Lindell? Oh, Jesus. Mike Lindell is planning to run for governor of the state of Prince in the Revolution. Hell nah. Oh, come on. That's going to be fun. I actually love watching these people set money on fire when it hurts them instead of us. Claire is a super sticker, and Canada is in the house. Elbows up, guys. Really sorry about the World Series. I was so hoping you were going to pull it out. His Divine Scato, thank you so much, as always. YouTube deleted around 700 videos of Israel human rights violations for Donald J. to pay. Yeah, I'm very worried about all sorts of things YouTube may or may not be doing right now, quite frankly. Yeah. Ape Geek Julie 1994, thank you again. Celebrating our great blue wave, as we should all be doing. Ghostlayer 59, thank you as always. It's a shout out incoming fee comment. Mary, you're here opening eyes and changing minds. That kind of confidence and passion is seriously magnetic, and it showed last night. Keep crushing it. You're a total badass. Well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. And listen, it helps so much having you guys be supportive and showing up, because I'm telling you, times are tough. And your support means so much to all of us here. And quite honestly, showing up is the least we can do. Linda gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. Thank you so much, Linda. I'm going to mispronounce this. I apologize. Zaklina Gavrilovsky, 1573, gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. That is very much appreciated. Thank you. Abe Geek Julie 1994. Thank you again. Another blue wave celebration fee, I should say. Susan, thank you so very much. Zoran Mamdani is our future. Let's fucking go. Now the work begins. Take the ball and run. Indeed. Indeed. I mean, I just very quickly, if Democrats don't take the momentum from last night and translate it into massive organizing, and don't craft a strategy that leans in to what our base wants and translate all of that into massive electoral victories, I don't know, man. I still think it's up to us. So we're going to work on it. Okay. Michael, thank you so very much, Michael. Comment. So the word is that Dems are considering caving on the shutdown. I have seen reporting that the Democrats, that there are discussions, but from the sources I've seen are not, in my view, reliable sources. And most of the background was provided by Republicans. I know that the Republicans demanded meetings based on how confident they're feeling after last night, but I don't see how last night has anything to do with changing their position on the it's the Republicans who should be changing their position on the shutdown. So I hope they do not, because that would be yet another miscalculation on the part of Democratic so-called leadership. Abe Geek Julie 1994, thank you again for gifting 1 Mary Trump Media membership. That is awesome of you. Zilla Joey, thank you very much. That's why there's a US and USA. The USA belongs to us. It does indeed. And always remember, the government is not some foreign entity out to get us. The government is us. That's simple. Elizabeth, thank you very much for that. Comment, fee for failure to come up with a stupid rural animal story. I didn't realize people were being asked to do such a thing, but it's okay. And thank you. Diana, thank you very much for that comment. Keep the momentum going. Loving our country today. Yes, it is about momentum. There should be no stalling. This should just be foot to the floor, pedal to the metal, whatever you want to call it. We need to, you know what? This is just it's a marathon that we are going to run as if it were a sprint. We can do it. We can do it. It's a year and we have each other. Susan gifted 5 Barry Trump Media memberships. Thank you so very much for that. Charles is a new member. Thank you, Charles. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Susan again. My word. Mary is now on Patreon. Please come on over and check out all the tiers and perks. I'll have something to say about that in a second. Gary Canada in the house. Thank you so much, Gary. Elbows up. Question: who will rid me of this meddlesome and moronic American ambassador? Which one? There are so many. I mean, we've got a criminal in the form of Charles Kushner, Jared's daddy, who, fresh out of prison, was made ambassador of France, and the deeply corrupt and limited, shall we say, Kimberly Guilfoyle, ambassador to Greece. And Greece should end all diplomatic ties with us just based on that alone. Okay, that does it for us. So I need to hydrate. Forgive me. All right. First off, thank you everybody for watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and our Substack, The Good in Us, for everybody listening to the podcast. Truly appreciate it. I finally just fixed my technical difficulties, so that's fun. Anyway, to all of our new members, everybody gifting memberships, to all of our super stickers, everybody giving us donations, you guys, I can't tell you enough how grateful we are. To everybody who has a paid subscription to YouTube, I just made a video and we're going to be in touch with you directly. So look out for that, because we are reconfiguring things and we want to make sure that you get what you want. And we want to make sure that everybody understands that there's a lot of change going on here behind the scenes, and we are aware that the ball got dropped in certain cases, but we are absolutely working on making things right. So just so you know, we will be in touch. And there's a video coming about it, so that's exciting. Yeah, and again, like I said, we're sort of reconfiguring, reimagining, reworking, doing all the things so that we can realistically provide things that we believe you will enjoy and get something out of. In terms of support, I mean, you guys who show up here every day support us tremendously, but spread the word. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. After you do, click on the bell, because YouTube is continuing to just, I don't know, have its boot on our neck. And if you click on the bell and click all, you're more likely to get notified when videos drop. Although I know that is not happening, and that's problematic, obviously. So if you're not getting notified, just come to the homepage and check it out, because we have videos dropping every single day. So another easy way to support us is watch those videos. I mean, in addition to the lives, watch those videos, like them, share them, comment on them. Just spread the word. Truly, I mean, it really does. That is something we hope will get us through this particular stretch. If we can just get more subscribers, that would be pretty incredible. To our mods who do so much to help us, not just in terms of keeping this community so incredible and lovely, but just in terms of like having our backs and keeping their eyes and ears opened and giving us really great actionable information to help make the channel better for everybody. And of course, to my just extraordinary team that is just stepping up in ways that those of you watching can't possibly imagine. So thanks, guys, for everything you do on a daily basis, seemingly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anyway, we will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Yeah. It's so dark out right now. I'm having a very difficult time remembering what time it is because it looks and feels like it's midnight, but it's not. So the show will still be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, notwithstanding. So again, please do check out our other videos throughout the day and come back for Barry Trump Live tomorrow night. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind. Bye.